Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. Today's subject, Global versus Victorinox. As soon as you start looking for a kitchen knife, you'll realize that different brands come at very different prices. One brand at the lower end of the price scale is Victorinox, whilst the Japanese brand Global offers knives at what I would consider a medium price point. As a result, many people are often trying to understand the difference between these brands to see what's right for them and whether it's worth paying more. In this article, I'm going to tell you the differences between these two great brands. I'll go in depth into the details of each, talking about where they are made, what materials are used, and the difference in price. This should be all the information you need to select your perfect knife. If you ignore the price and focus on quality, Global knives are unarguably better. They are built for extreme durability, slim and lightweight. However, that is reflected in the price, and you can still get a quality knife from Victorinox for half the price of a standard Global. If you're on a budget, then Victorinox offers some of the best value knives around. My Global recommendation. The Global Classic 8-inch is one of the most durable knives you can find. It's made from a 18% chromium stainless steel that is pretty much unmatched in the knife world. But its biggest selling point is its size and weight. Global knives are very light, and because they are entirely steel, the handle is actually hollow, with just some sand to counterbalance the blade. It has no bolster and is slimmer than most knives, which makes it perfect for those who want a lighter, easier to control knife, and is especially suited for people with smaller hands. It's a great knife, and one of a kind. My Victorinox recommendation. The Fibrox Pro, with its thermoplastic handle, might be the most popular Victorinox knife, but it's not my personal recommendation. For a similar price, you can get the Victorinox Rosewood Chef's Knife. It uses the exact same steel but has a beautiful rosewood handle instead of the thermoplastic. Rosewood is hard, so it's still plenty durable, and I think the style it gives the knife is really hard to match at this price range. It certainly looks like a knife that would be more expensive than it actually is. The handle shape is a classic design, along with the curved blade edge. It's ideal for rock chopping and is a lightweight knife overall. For a knife around the $50 mark, you'll find it hard to find another knife as stylish and as high in quality as this one. Global versus Victorinox, what is the difference? Now that we have looked at the design, materials, background, and price of these brands, we can fully understand the difference, and you should be able to make an informed decision on which knife is correct for you. The main difference between Global and Victorinox knives is the overall quality. Global use a slightly better steel with a slightly sharper edge, whilst remaining lightweight and slim. But Victorinox knives cost significantly less and still offer very good value for money. Both these knives have been built for durability, and they are both very successful in achieving that goal. But Global just provides a slightly better product in every aspect. Victorinox Global knives are much more lightweight and slim. There is no bolster at all, and the handle is hollow. The steel is incredibly high-quality stainless steel but is still very durable. Global knives are better suited for those with smaller hands because they are so slim and lightweight. That's especially useful for family kitchens, where many different people might be using the knife. Both these brands are top quality, and Global knives are very unique, but ultimately the Global is a better knife all round. It just costs quite a bit more. Global versus Victorinox, which is better for you? This really comes down to what is important to you. If you're looking for an all-round great knife that is very durable, I would recommend the Global. It's great for family kitchens where it could easily be left wet after use or soaking in a kitchen sink because the stainless steel quality is so high it's very unlikely to rust. It's also lightweight and slim, so can be easily used by a range of different sized people, often useful in a family kitchen. And it's authentically Japanese, which is something people often find important when paying upwards of $100 for a knife. If you're looking for a quality knife that represents very good value for money, the Victorinox is a great choice. Victorinox's Fibrox Pro range offers some of the best value for money knives you will find. They will cost around half to a third the price of a Global knife, and they are still very good quality. You can even get a rosewood handle Victorinox for around half the price of a Global, which looks beautiful. It certainly looks like it would cost more than it does. Global versus Victorinox, where are they made? Global knives are manufactured in the city of Niigata, on the northwestern coast of Japan. Niigata is where the Yashikin Metal Manufacturing Company has been based since 1954, so they have a good span of heritage making Japanese steels. Both of these brands produce their knives in the homeland of their heritage, an added bonus for anyone looking for a genuine German or Japanese knife. Victorinox produces all their knives in Eibach, Switzerland. Victorinox are a very interesting company as they are the original creators of the Swiss Army knife. In fact, they produce around 45,000 Swiss Army knives every single day. The company was founded in 1884 and since then has expanded into other products such as chef's knives and watches. I think the practicality that you'd expect from a Swiss Army knife is reflected in many of the features of Victorinox's kitchen knives, which certainly focus more on durability than sharpness, but we'll come to that next. Both of these brands have good heritage and have long been making durable blades. You can be assured that both these brands offer plenty of knife making experience. Global versus Victorinox, what steel do they use? Knowing which steel a knife is made of is one of the most important things to understand when buying a knife. The steel used will give you a very good indication of what the manufacturer has focused on as the most important aspect of the knife, such as durability or sharpness. Global knives are made from their own specially formulated steel, Chromova 18. You'll only find Chromova 18 in Global knives, and it's a very unique steel. To understand why, let's look at some of its chromium content. The 18 in Chromova 18 represents the steel's chromium content, which is 18%. That is a huge level of chromium by any standard, and it's an amount you'll rarely see in another knife. That means that Global knives are especially resistant to rust, making them particularly durable. That's really the theme of Global knives. They are Japanese knives, but they have a focus on durability. The carbon content is quite high at 0.75 to 1.05%. Usually, that would lead to a very hard knife, which could hold a super sharp Japanese-style edge, but that's not the case with Global. The rather unique composition of Chromova 18 actually results in a rather soft steel, with a Rockwell hardness between 56 to 58 HRC. I don't regard this as a bad thing though. It plays directly to the strengths that the brand wants from their knives, durability over sharpness. A softer steel is less likely to chip and snap, and it's easier to sharpen, although you would need to sharpen it more often. Combine that with the 18% chromium content and this is a knife that will last a very long time. Victorinox knives use a German steel called X50 CRMOV15. It's popular steel amongst producers of quality Western-style knives. That's because it has a particular focus on durability, whilst retaining enough strength for a sharp edge. The main elements of interest within X50 CRMOV15's composition are carbon, vanadium, and chromium. The carbon content is 0.55%. That's not particularly high when comparing it with other quality knives, however, it's high enough to provide sufficient strength in the blade for a 15 to 20 degree angle on each side, which is standard for Western knives. The big benefit of not having a very high carbon content is that higher carbon steels are usually more brittle, therefore the 0.55% content keeps the blade durable. That's the same with the strong vanadium of 0.4%. Vanadium improves the resistance to wear of the steel, also adding to its durability. The chromium content is 15% is what the 15 in X50 CRMOV15 represents. Chromium is vital for the durability of steel as it's what makes stainless steel resistant to rust. Steel need only be 10.5% to be considered stainless, so a 15% content is high and makes this a quality stainless steel, very unlikely to rust unless extremely mistreated by the owner. Both knives use a steel that is focused more on durability than sharpness. That's reflected in the relatively low HRC rating they have, a rating which measures hardness. That means they will be unlikely to crack and chip and easy to sharpen, but they will not hold a sharp edge for as long as a harder steel and will need to be sharpened frequently to retain it. Global versus Victorinox, how sharp are they? Once again, I'm going to focus on the most popular knives from each brand for this comparison. Global knives are a little sharper than Victorinox due to the straighter bevel of the cutting edge. They use steel of very similar hardness, so will retain their edges for a similar length of time. Victorinox uses standard bevel for their edge, whereas Global uses the more Japanese straight bevel. Effectively, the edge angle on a Global will continue up the blade for some way, whereas the cutting angle on the Victorinox is very close to the cutting edge. Global knives use a different style of bevel for their knives, which should make them sharper straight out of the factory. The steel used for both knives is of very similar hardness, so they will be quite equal in edge retention. As a result, there isn't a huge amount between the two when measuring sharpness. They will both certainly be sharp enough, but neither of them offers the super sharp edge of high-carbon Japanese knives, as they both focus more on durability. Overall though, the Global has a slightly sharper edge than Victorinox. Global versus Victorinox, what are the handles made from? The material used for handles is a vital and often overlooked feature of any knife. A quality handle is often the sign of a quality overall knife. Handles need to be made from a durable material that can withstand all the heat and moisture fluctuations knives can experience in the kitchen. Global knives use their own steel, Chromova 18, to create the handle, and form the whole knife out of a seemingly single piece of steel. Technically, the knife isn't made from one piece of steel. The blade is made in one piece. The handle is made from a further two pieces. The handle is hollow and filled with sand in order to offer the perfect counterbalance weight to the blade. All the pieces are then welded together to form a seamless knife, with the blade and handle becoming one. It's a fantastic design and results in the most durable handle you'll find in any knife. It's basically impossible to damage this handle unless you were pretty determined to. As the stainless steel on its own would be difficult to grip, Global handles are always dimpled to provide extra friction. It's a technique that works well and for home use, providing the cook with plenty of control over the knife. Global handles are near indestructible and contribute drastically to the lightweight design of Global knives due to the hollowed handle. Victorinox Fibrox Pro, a thermoplastic material for their knife handles called TPE. It is worth mentioning that whilst Victorinox's most popular range uses TPE, they also have a knife that uses a very attractive rosewood timber, which is actually my personal Victorinox recommendation. But as the TPE knives are by far Victorinox's most popular, I'm focusing on that. Thermoplastic materials like these are ideal for knife handles due to their extreme durability. Being a thermoplastic means it's extremely resistant to temperature and moisture changes. It's a fantastic material to use for knife handles that will undergo all sorts of pressures, and it makes sense to use this material for your main range, which is usually your more practical range. TPE has more flex in it than other thermoplastic picks. As a result, the TPE handle Victorinox use isn't quite as tough as materials like POM, but on the upside it does offer a good amount of grip due to the texture of the surface. Both the TPE and continuous steel are fantastic handle options. You won't be able to damage a Global handle in normal use, and it'll be pretty hard to damage a Victorinox handle too. But for pure indestructibility, Global wins. Global versus Victorinox, how much do they cost? Both these brands have wide ranges of knives, all at differing price ranges. To allow for a fairer comparison, I've categorized 3 of their major ranges that represent their highest and lowest cost knives. I've tried to compare similar knives, sticking to 8-inch chef's knives or the closest equivalent. In brackets next to the general price range you'll see the name of the range. These prices are rough estimates. Prices do change over time, but this is intended as a rough guide. What is clear is that these two brands offer their knives at very different price ranges. Victorinox is a brand that generally lies at the budget end of the price scale. That's fine if it's what you're looking for. Victorinox makes a really quality knife for what you pay. However, the clear superiority of Global knives shows in their price. The steel they use is superb while still remaining light and slim, and the general build quality of Global knives is on another level to the more budget Victorinox.